So it's been 2.5 weeks since Ubisoft released Assassin's Creed Valhalla's second DLC expansion, The Dawn of Ragnarok. Now I know it's been a while, you guys have played the expansion, you have your own opinions and whatnot, and every Assassin's Creed fan is now out of the honeymoon phase. They know what the expansion is. We now kind of analyze, is the expansion really worth it or not? Now first thing I want to say though, Ubisoft did actually try their best in terms of making The Dawn of Ragnarok a little bit different from the base game itself, but the problem here is the expansion worth the entire $40 of price point? Because you can basically get an entire game for $40, and when a game expects us to pay $40 for just an expansion, I would of course have very high hopes on the amount of content that I'm going to be receiving with this expansion, but unfortunately I don't think that Dawn of Ragnarok stands out to the point of what Ubisoft basically asked for the $40 price point. Now there are a couple of things that I want to touch on to what Ubisoft has been doing lately, and some of the things I absolutely hated and some of the things I do love about Dawn of Ragnarok DLC. And before we get started, I just want to thank Ubisoft for providing the early access copy of Dawn of Ragnarok. I've been playing this game at least 2 weeks before the DLC was released. Now the first thing that comes to my mind is the gameplay mechanism, which pretty much seemed like the base game itself. There wasn't really any kind of new changes or something that Ubisoft even tried to make different from the base game. The only difference that I saw is that you have 2 new abilities where Odin kind of like changes into a bird now, and the other ability is that you can pretty much change into your enemies and look like enemies and disguise yourself, and that plays a huge role in terms of stealth as well. Now apart from these 2 abilities, the game absolutely felt like the base vanilla version of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Because if I have to be honest, when I saw the trailer that Ubisoft released, I was actually expecting to have something completely different. Since we're playing as Odin, the character is entirely different. It's a mythological character, so obviously I was expecting a complete revamp of gameplay mechanism because it's a different character, a new play style or something like that. But apart from these 2 abilities, everything basically remained as Eivor from the base game. So there was nothing really that was different. Even the character looks like Eivor. So Ubisoft did not even bother to add in a new character model for Odin. So I was expecting something different since the DLC is $40 price point. So that was of course a very big disappointment in terms of gameplay mechanism and how innovative Ubisoft could have otherwise gotten in terms of giving us something entirely new. Now of course there are a couple of magical elements in the game where it kind of feels like you're playing as Odin sometimes due to some of the mythological abilities and magical stuff that he possesses, but apart from that, these things are very minor that you pretty much just get used to it very soon, and it kind of gets repetitive over time, and by the time you finish the entire DLC you completely feel exhausted and you don't really have that excitement in you anymore. Now speaking of the storytelling point of view, it honestly feels like this expansion was pretty much a filler content, because let's be honest, who even wanted to know a story about Odin himself? Like, it wouldn't really matter if we even had a DLC expansion about Odin or not, because even if this DLC was not made, I think Assassin's Creed fans would still be cool with it. Maybe they could have made something completely different. Now that we are playing as Odin, they could have at least done something entirely different from what we've been playing as Eivor so far, because the mechanism, everything feels the exact same, so it doesn't really make sense that we are now playing as Odin, and the storytelling was pretty much like a filler content. Since the expansion is also very small, the story is too small compared to what we've already seen with expansions such as Siege of Paris and Wrath of the Druids. I would honestly say that Dawn of Ragnarok was not entirely as huge as what I probably thought, because it's a $40 game and I was expecting, and since Ubisoft said that the game was going to be 40 hours long, I was actually expecting to see a full-on huge massive storyline, which is going to be very similar to what we've already seen with the base game itself, but that was not the case. The entire storyline felt like a filler content, which was very disappointing in my opinions. And some of the things that I absolutely loved about Dawn of Ragnarok is the new armor sets, man. The game provides some very fun and very cool looking armor sets in terms of mythological world. Now of course it's not very relevant when it comes to Assassin's Creed games though, but since it's a mythological DLC expansion, I would kind of give it a pass. But still, the armor sets, the weapons, and everything looks absolutely amazing, and the fact that they're also giving away a free skin pack if you buy the DLC expansion kind of makes sense since it's $40 pack. So so that's the reason you're probably getting it. But at the end of the day, being honest though, I absolutely loved the armor sets as well as the weapons that they provided with Dawn of Ragnarok. It was really fun to play. It kind of gave a completely new experience in terms of visuals. You also have new mounts, which looks really cool. And the new abilities and skills that Ubisoft provided with this thing was also really fun. It kind of like changed the playstyle a little bit. The abilities kind of felt more mythological and it looked cool on the screens. Now, even though it doesn't really matter much in terms of new content wise, of course, the new skills and stuff like that does make the game a little bit fun, better than what it was already there. But these new skills and armor sets are, of course, very minor extra stuff that the game has, which I don't think justifies the $40 expansion prices, because I think Ubisoft has just ridiculously priced the Dawn of Ragnarok's DLC expansion. I honestly think that this DLC would be worth it if they sold it for probably like 10 or 15 bucks, but $40 price point, which is equivalent to an entire full game, I think Ubisoft has made a very huge mistake with the pricing here. But of course, it is the company's choice, so we can't really say anything about it. But when it comes to us gamers, it is our choice to decide whether we want to spend that much money into the expansion or not. And if you guys are one of those who haven't really picked up the DLC expansion yet, then I would honestly suggest you guys to wait for a massive sale, because right now, $40 price point, it does not do any justice for the expansion. So just wait for it. I'm pretty sure that Ubisoft is going to put a huge sale on the expansion. You're probably going to get it for 15 bucks, so just wait for it and grab it as soon as the sale comes up. I will of course keep you guys updated on my Twitter handle when that happens, so make sure you guys go ahead and follow me on Twitter as well as on Instagram, because that's where I keep you guys updated with all of these extra stuff that you need to know about upcoming discounts, offers, new information and stuff like that. All my social media link will be down below in the description. Now, of course, another thing that I really liked about the expansion is that the world looked completely different, because as far as what I know, when it comes to Ubisoft, they're too lazy in terms of making the open world look any different from the base game, because as far as what we've seen with the previous DLC expansions, Wrath of the Druids, open world pretty much looked the exact same as the base game. There wasn't really much difference at all. But when it comes to Dawn of Ragnarok, I think they've done a really good job in terms of how to make the world look different from the base game, so that players feel like they're in a completely different realm. So in that case, I would give Ubisoft a very big thumbs up. But in terms of making the world fun, I don't think there is much activities that you can do in the world. It pretty much just feels empty all the time. Comparing this with the base game itself, the world is pretty much with no interactions. So that is something that Ubisoft could of course improve in terms of the future expansions if they decide to make any. And speaking of the story and gameplay wise, the missions were pretty much very basic. I did not really feel anything unique about it. It pretty much felt like the base game itself. So that is one of the biggest reason why I honestly could not agree that Dawn of Ragnarok does any justice to the $40 price point, because it looks very repetitive and it kind of sometimes felt like I'm playing the base game itself but on a steroids version. But apart from that, 2.5 weeks later, how does the game play? What about the bugs and all the issues that Dawn of Ragnarok has? So far as what I played the game before the game even released, because I got the early version, I've been playing the game for 2 weeks before it even came out officially, I guess. And since the pre-launch version, I haven't really had any issues in terms of bugs or whatever. And I think Ubisoft has done a good job in terms of patching some of the bugs that we have with Dawn of Ragnarok. And so far, if you guys are worried about bugs, I don't really think the expansion is buggy, at least not for me. If you guys are experiencing any kind of bugs, then please do let me know down below in the comments, because Ubisoft developers, they do end up watching these videos, and it would absolutely be helpful to them if you guys could just leave your concerns, your feedbacks, and that would of course help them make the game much better for us in the future. Now, if I have to be honest here, my final score for Dawn of Ragnarok 2.5 weeks later, after having the full-on experience, would be a final score of 6 out of 10. The 6 out of 10 is the best I could give for this expansion. It is of course fun, it's refreshing, but $40, it's not worth it at all. Now, of course, this is not the end for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because Ubisoft has already promised that they're going to be releasing much more content, and the upcoming content is going to be seasonal updates and free stuff that everybody is going to get for absolutely free. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that one. I will keep you guys updated with all the upcoming DLC expansions that are going to be free, paid, or whatever. And if you guys are looking for a YouTube channel that basically covers every single information that you need about open world games, Assassin's Creed, or whatever, any information regarding the open world titles, then you guys should go ahead and subscribe to this channel and turn the notifications on, because I upload videos every single day. But lately I haven't been uploading, and that's because I fell sick and there was a lot of things that I had to go through. And now I am back, ladies and gentlemen, and there will be content coming out every single day. So make sure you guys go ahead, subscribe to the the channel, turn the notifications on, and make sure that you guys are setting the notification settings to all, because if you don't do that, there's a broadcast YouTube platform that just don't send you guys the notifications of my daily videos. So make sure you guys do it. And if you guys agree with my review on Dawn of Ragnarok, then make sure to go ahead and drop a like. And if you don't agree, then drop a dislike. Let's see how many of you guys are gonna agree with my opinion. And what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments down below as well. And with that being said, lads, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.